How important is physical appearance in our society? How much does it shape our perceptions, relationships, and self-esteem? These are questions we might not consciously think about, but they are woven into the fabric of our daily lives. Whether we like it or not, physical appearance plays a pivotal role in our society. Notice how the media relentlessly emphasizes beauty standards, creating images of perfection that are often unattainable, yet deeply influential. This societal pressure to maintain a certain image is pervasive, and it impacts us in more ways than we might realize. It shapes how we view ourselves and others, influencing our self-esteem and even our relationships. But what happens when this focus on physical appearance becomes an obsession, when it starts to dictate a person's sense of self-worth and their interactions with others? This brings us to the subject of somatic narcissism, a subtype of narcissistic personality disorder characterized by a preoccupation with physical appearance. Somatic narcissists invest significant time and resources into their physical attractiveness. This stems from a deep-rooted need to maintain a certain image, one that is often defined by societal standards of beauty. You'll find them spending long hours in front of the mirror, perfecting their appearance down to the last detail. From choosing the trendiest fashions to following rigorous grooming routines, every aspect of their look is carefully curated. But why such an obsession? Somatic narcissists use their physical appearance as a form of currency. It's a way for them to gain admiration, attention, and even control. In their world, looks aren't just about vanity. They're a tool, a weapon even, that can be wielded to manipulate perceptions and influence relationships. This constant focus on physical beauty often comes at a cost. It can lead to a neglect of other aspects of their identity, resulting in a sense of self that is shallow and one-dimensional. Their physical attractiveness becomes their identity, a mask they wear to the world. Physical beauty, for somatic narcissists, is the currency in their relationships. These individuals place a high premium on how they look and how they are perceived by others. Imagine being in a relationship where the primary concern isn't emotional intimacy, shared values, or intellectual compatibility, but rather the physical allure of the individuals involved. That's the reality for many who find themselves entangled with somatic narcissists. It's not just about their own attractiveness either. Somatic narcissists often seek out partners who are physically appealing, not for the joy of appreciating their beauty, but as a sort of trophy to be paraded around, enhancing their own perceived value. It's a game of optics where the focus is on the outward rather than the inward. But what happens when the lights go out and the makeup comes off? When the trappings of physical beauty are stripped away, and what remains are the raw, unvarnished truths of who we are as people. For somatic narcissists, these moments can be deeply unsettling because their self-esteem is heavily invested in the physical. This obsession with physical beauty also leads somatic narcissists to seek constant validation and admiration for their appearance. Compliments serve as a lifeblood to their self-esteem, while criticism can be deeply wounding. Their mirror doesn't reflect who they are, but rather how they are seen. They gauge their worth not by their character or accomplishments, but by how much they fit into society's mold of physical perfection. So, they find themselves in a perpetual quest for validation, forever seeking the next compliment, the next admiring glance. It's a never-ending chase, a cycle that can leave them feeling empty and unfulfilled. Because in the end, physical beauty is fleeting, it's subjective, and it's a shaky foundation on which to build one's self-worth. Their self-worth is intricately tied to their physical attractiveness and the attention they receive. It's a precarious balance, one that leaves them vulnerable to the inevitable fluctuations of life and the changing tides of beauty standards. This dependence on external validation underscores the superficial nature of their relationships and the fragility of their self-esteem. Time, the inevitable march of aging, is a somatic narcissist's greatest adversary. This profound fear of aging can be particularly distressing for those with somatic narcissism, as it directly threatens their primary source of validation, their physical attractiveness. They are engaged in a constant battle against nature, a battle they are bound to lose eventually. This fear can lead to extreme efforts to maintain a youthful appearance. It's not uncommon for somatic narcissists to invest heavily in cosmetic procedures, beauty treatments, or maintain an excessive focus on fitness. They try to hold on to the illusion of youth, as if they can somehow outmaneuver the hands of time. But this fear of aging is more than skin deep. It's also about the fear of losing their power, their influence, and ultimately their self-worth. They've built their identity, their sense of self, around their physical attractiveness. And the idea of losing that can be deeply unsettling. This fear can become all-consuming, often leading to anxiety, depression, and even more narcissistic behavior as they try to compensate. In addition to this fear of aging, somatic narcissists also struggle with a limited emotional depth. They may have difficulty forming deep, meaningful emotional connections with others. This isn't because they can't feel emotions. On the contrary, they often experience emotions quite intensely, but their preoccupation with their physical needs and desires often overshadows their ability to understand and respond to the emotional needs of others. They may struggle to empathize, to show genuine concern, or to express authentic emotions. Their relationships often remain on the surface, focused more on physicality than emotional intimacy. This lack of emotional depth can make it challenging for them to form meaningful, fulfilling relationships, often leading to a sense of isolation and loneliness. This is the paradox of somatic narcissism. They crave attention, admiration, and validation, but their fear of aging and their limited emotional depth often prevent them from forming the deep, meaningful connections they so desperately need. Their fear of losing their physical attractiveness often overshadows their ability to connect emotionally. A somatic narcissist's beauty is their weapon and shield. This statement encapsulates the way these individuals manipulate their surroundings using their physical attractiveness. But it's not just a simple matter of using beauty as a bargaining chip. It's a complex dance of coercion, persuasion, and control. Somatic narcissists expertly wield their attractiveness to gain an upper hand, to secure favors, or to simply bask in the attention of others. They're like chameleons, altering their appearance to blend into a crowd or to stand out depending on their current needs. This manipulation is subtle, often unnoticed until it's too late. But this reliance on physical attractiveness is a double-edged sword. While it provides them with power, it also leaves them vulnerable. Criticism, especially about their appearance, can cut deeply. It's like a crack in their armor, a blow to their self-esteem. They may react with defensiveness, anger, or even retaliation. This sensitivity to criticism often leads to a constant need for reassurance, a thirst for compliments, and a dread of aging, which threatens their primary source of validation. Another intriguing facet of somatic narcissism is the competitiveness that it breeds. Somatic narcissists are constantly comparing themselves to others, in an endless pursuit of being the most attractive. They view physical attractiveness as a zero-sum game, where someone else's beauty diminishes their own. This competitiveness often leads to a sense of threat and insecurity when confronted with individuals they perceive as more attractive. They may go to great lengths to outshine them, using their looks as their primary weapon. It's a world where physical beauty reigns supreme, where the mirror is both a friend and a foe, but it's important to remember that beneath the surface there's often a deep-seated insecurity, a fear of not being enough. This fear fuels their manipulation, their sensitivity to criticism, and their competitiveness. In the end, their physical attractiveness becomes a tool for control, a means to assert their superiority. It's a fascinating yet troubling aspect of somatic narcissism that continues to captivate and perplex psychologists around the world. For somatic narcissists, fitness is not just a hobby, it's a necessity. This need to stay in peak physical condition stems from the emphasis they place on their appearance, which often goes beyond the norm. Somatic narcissists are no strangers to rigorous exercise routines, strict diets, and other health practices that can sometimes border on obsession. They view their bodies as a canvas, a testament to their dedication and a source of admiration. But this fixation on fitness goes beyond the physical. It's not just about looking good, it's about feeling superior, validating their self-worth, and commanding attention. Their gym-honed bodies serve as a badge of honor, a symbol of their discipline, and a tool for manipulation. However, this preoccupation with physical fitness can lead to a skewed perception of value. Somatic narcissists have a tendency to place a disproportionate weight on physical beauty, often neglecting or even undervaluing qualities such as kindness, empathy, or intellectual depth. In the world of somatic narcissism, a well-toned body can be deemed more important than a kind heart. A pretty face may hold more value than a sharp mind. This shallow value system can lead to superficial relationships, where people are judged more on their looks than their character. The irony, however, is that while they chase physical perfection, somatic narcissists often miss out on the richness that comes from deeper, more meaningful connections. They may overlook the beauty of a compassionate spirit, the allure of a curious mind, or the charm of a genuine smile. In their relentless pursuit of physical beauty, somatic narcissists may end up devaluing the very qualities that make us truly human. They may become so entranced by the superficial that they fail to see the beauty that lies beneath the surface. But it's important to remember that this is just one facet of narcissism. Not all narcissists are the same, and not all prioritize physical beauty above all else. Nonetheless, understanding this aspect of somatic narcissism can shed light on the complexities of this personality disorder. In the world of somatic narcissism, physical beauty reigns supreme, often at the expense of inner qualities.